All right, and welcome in. It is another Friday night, a little after 10:05, a little late here, but that's okay. Rick Ucchino here with you as always, the legend himself, Dirty Dutch Mantell, and filling in for SP3 tonight, who's at a bachelor party or something. I forgot. He made some kind of an excuse.
Where is Sid?
He's either at a bachelor party or a dinner rehearsal.
I guess he just shows up when he wants to, I guess. I don't know.
I think that was the same line you dropped when I was at a wedding, though.
Oh, I did say that about you, too. So.
Works on his own time.
You guys
I go back and watch the shows, sir. I see and hear everything you say.
Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't supposed to hear that. I didn't know you could do that. Oh, you can? Okay. I gotta watch what. I gotta watch what I say now.
On demand, baby.
On demand, and that's the perfect segue on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can find it all. Make sure to go to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe. Got a big interview coming out on Monday. Part 1 is going to drop on Monday. Part 2 on Tuesday with Tommaso Ciampa ahead of Great American Bash on Tuesday. That's one of those dudes, man, I could talk to 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. He is just absolutely a fantastic to talk with. Again, that's going to drop on Monday, so make sure to check that out. But we got some big news to talk about here on SmackDown. We see the comments already coming in, guys. Appreciate everybody joining in. Ozzy and Anthony and Paul, our regulars. We appreciate all you guys. And for the 58 others who are with us right now, we appreciate you. And make sure to get your comments in. Make sure to get your questions in. We'll get a little story time with Dutch coming up later on.
I got a great story today.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. We had a lot that happened on this show. We saw Edge drop a promo and kick the crap out of Jimmy Uso to close out the show. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn tore the house down in a last man standing match. We'll get to all that. But the big news of the night, Zelina Vega is back in WWE. Credit due to Sean Rossap from Fightful.com. He had the report out. She was due back very, very soon, about 30 minutes before SmackDown went on the air tonight, and he don't miss. And Zelina Vega was back. Sonya Deville comes down to announce another competitor for the Money in the Bank ladder match because they don't have enough women on the roster to do qualifying matches. So she announces Zelina is back, and she is out. Jeremy, your reaction to Zelina returning to WWE?
That is a very great addition to a depleted roster after the cuts and everybody getting released, especially on the SmackDown side. It's been very thin. I speculate myself. I told you on Twitter there earlier, Rick, that I feel like Sonya is going to screw over Liv and put herself in the Money in the Bank ladder match later on, just because they don't have enough people. They can create a little feud that way, just to do that way. But Zelina is a tremendous addition to that roster. We all know she can talk, and we all know if you followed her career even before WWE that she can wrestle. So I think if those that did not know the report earlier on, I think they were pleasantly surprised. I saw a lot of happy people on the internet to see that Zelina's back in the fold.
Dutch, your reaction to Zelina making a surprise return? She was let go from the company back in November. She caused a lot of headlines with the unionization talk. She doing third party. When the third party edict was put out last year, she was obviously big into streaming and everything like that. Was let go from the company not long after getting a women's title match, and now she's back 3 weeks after her husband's let go from the company. So this is some interesting developments and some interesting timing here, Dutch.
Well, my response of seeing her back, thank God somebody knew that we haven't been rammed down our throat for the past 8 weeks. And I'm thinking, I joined the party late, so I don't know a lot of this past history, but I do remember her getting let go because of unionization and she wanted to, what program or she wanted to do?
It was a lot with third-party stuff. So like her Twitch stream, and she created an OnlyFans there for a while for her cosplay stuff like that. So I mean, there was a lot that she was doing where she was making a profit off of, and WWE was not, and that was a big issue last fall.
Well, that made WWE, I think, look a little petty.
Yes.
I don't know what she's taking in, but it could be a fair chunk. but WWE wanting it, and they have a right to do it, I guess, legally.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were legal in doing that, but it kind of makes them look a little bit petty. But I'm glad she's back because, as you mentioned, the girls on SmackDown, it's not just chock full. But I'm glad to see a new face in there.
Yeah, this WWE, I think, quickly realized this is what you see this happen in radio a lot, where they will cut down on positions across the board, these massive companies. And I've gone through this several times myself being in the business. They will cut so deep. And then after a few months where they got PDs and news directors and things like that bitching up a storm saying, look, guys, we're overworked, we're short-staffed. They realize they cut the roster too deep, and then they start bringing in some new people. I think that's what WWE realized when you have the women's tag team champions on SmackDown with nobody to face on the brand because you fired all your other tag teams. You have Bianca and Bayley fighting over the SmackDown Women's Championship. You didn't have anybody left outside of Carmella and Liv to even qualify for Money in the Bank, and you needed 4 competitors, and they realized, oh, we done messed up.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they knew they were bringing in Zelina for a while now.
How many women, girls, females do they have in NXT? Isn't that what NXT is for?
They have a ton.
It's to train them and get them ready to go up.
They are stacked, and I would not be surprised to see some follow-up.
Why don't they call somebody up?
I think they are.
They're paying them anyway.
The draft. I mean, with the draft right around the corner. Yeah, I think with the WWE draft right around the corner, literally, just short of 2 months, right after SummerSlam's when that draft's going to happen. I would expect to see a fair amount of NXT women get called up because that. The NXT women's roster, especially, I mean, even their tag division is on fire. If you watch that triple threat this week, so they've got plenty of women there, and so don't be surprised that some get drafted up if not even sooner.
And we saw the report.
Okay, let me just bring this up. Let me just bring this up just a minute, Rick.
Yeah.
AEW, they put a lot of unknowns on that show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of independent guys. And some of them are not ready, but at least they're new.
Right, and that's why they utilize Stark for that.
That's the only way you're going to get somebody over is by putting them on TV. Beating them or whatever you want to do, at least let the people know who they are. And I think if they bring up some NXT talent, they're right here in Florida anyway. So it's no transportation problem. They can drive to Tampa or wherever it is and be right on the show. But at least that makes their division look bigger, I would think. Not that it needs to look bigger, but you do need to have different people on this show. And we've seen Baron Corbin every week. We've seen Nakamura. We've seen them all after week after week.
And all facing the same people. All facing the same people. And we'll get to that. We will absolutely get to that. But, Dutch, to what you were saying, and Romeo brought it up here as I was getting ready to talk about it, Toni Storm and Shotzi Blackheart were backstage at SmackDown tonight working a dark match. Oh, gosh. Oh, man, her name is escaping me. Karrion Kross's girl. What's her name?
Scarlett.
Thank you. Scarlett was working a dark match last week. They are going to be, look, we're seeing this with Bronson Reed. He was doing a dark match a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden he drops the North American title very, very quickly on NXT this week. They're bringing people up. Like the reinforcements are coming. Vince McMahon was at the Performance Center this week. He was there on Thursday checking out the talent he has there. I think that is to see who's ready to move into NXT, because you're going to have some NXT people who are coming up. And I definitely think the women's division is going to get some reinforcements on SmackDown. And maybe, who knows, next week we see Mia Yim. Mia Yim is somebody who has reportedly been on the SmackDown roster for months, but we haven't seen her yet. Hell, the last time we saw her, she was still in Retribution going by Reckoning. So
that's a weird situation there. I don't know why they've kept her off TV when, especially after those cuts where there's desperately a lack of depth in the division. I was kind of surprised. Maybe there's more underlying things there, like there is with Keith Lee, that we just don't know about, to be honest. So it's very interesting.
I'm not even going to try to speculate on Keith Lee because I just don't know. There's obviously something going on there. Nobody knows. It's very personal. Mia said, I ain't saying crap about it. So We'll see him back on TV when they're back on TV, which we all hope is very, very soon. So here's the thing, though. Zelina's back, but this whole segment tonight was built around Liv Morgan, who once again came out and was justifiably pissed off. She beat Carmella twice. Carmella was put in. Zelina, who hasn't been on TV since November when she was let go, hasn't wrestled a match yet, gets put in. Liv Morgan's like, Sonya, what the F? What's going on? Gives Zelina the welcome back slap. That was a stiff shot that Liv Morgan laid in on Zelina.
That was a good one.
That slow-mo. That was a good slow-mo on that one.
Oh, you could see the face cave in. Oh, it was really, really good. So she laid into her there, sets up a match. I saw some people upset on Twitter that Zelina lost her first match back. I'm not, because this is all about building up Liv Morgan. Believe it or not, even though she's not in the Money in the Bank ladder match yet, and might not even get in there, Jeremy. I think
you like my theory, huh?
I love it. I think Sonya Deville is going to screw Liv Morgan over. She's not going to put her in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And if it leads to a Sonya Liv program, because God knows we don't have enough women's storylines that aren't surrounding titles. The only one we have right now is Alexa and Shayna, and that's been going on for God knows how long. The first one in forever is what I'm trying to say. The first one in God knows how long that we've had one. I'm all for that. I want to see Sonya back in the ring. Give me a Sonya and Liv feud. Have Liv Morgan cost Sonya Deville the Money in the Bank ladder match. Let's go.
I
don't know who your third person's going to be, but it'll be somebody next week. I think that's the story there.
I think we're leading towards something, and if it's not Sonya getting back in the ring, she's going to probably bring in someone else or bring in a hired gun to screw over Liv and continue this kind of power struggle with the Authority and Liv. I think it's doing this a second straight week is definitely telling of where they're going to go here. I think.
Yeah, and Dutch, this is something I brought up last week. I mean, do you think we might be getting to the point where Sonya is going to put herself in the Money in the Bank ladder match? Is that something that they're leading up to here?
Well, I was just thinking that maybe she has one spot open, and the way to really screw her, say, here are the people, put them on the screen, lived, and Sonya didn't even have to mention her name, but she says she decided against all of them. She's putting herself in, because she's still an active competitor.
Yep,
and she just blows off Liv, and you get to the same spot, but with a little added emphasis. Now Liv really has a reason to be hot at her. Now it kind of tells the story on its own.
Yep.
That she has something against Liv Morgan.
Yeah, we're doing it for 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Really, I like Liv better than any of the rest of them.
Liv is insanely talented. She's great.
Yes,
she's good on the mic. She's entertaining. What they're doing here is it's very. I think they're trying to recreate the organic storyline that was in place with Becky Lynch back in 2018, where everybody was wanting her to have an opportunity, and she was constantly getting screwed over and over again. She finally gets her opportunity at SummerSlam, and here comes Charlotte, and Charlotte steals the opportunity from out from under her. And the audience, who was already white hot, who wanted to see Becky Lynch, all of a sudden they all rose up. They all rose up behind her, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Liv Morgan. I'm not saying it's going to pay off to the levels that they did with Becky, because that was riding lightning, lightning, and they just carried off with that. But building up some sympathy for Liv Morgan, getting pissed off with her, that's going to get the crowd behind her. I think so, Dutch.
Oh, now Becky Lynch is coming back, correct?
That's the report.
When is she back? And I just read today her and Seth finally got married.
Yes, they did this week. Congratulations to them.
Congratulations to them. So. That was news to me. I thought they were already married, really.
That's where Sid's at right now. He's at the after party.
I bet he is.
Lucky.
Bet he's having a great time.
Wait a second, but Rollins was on SmackDown, so
they could have pre-taped that last week.
Oh yeah, good point. He could have had another fancy suit ready to
right, and Sonya could have just had a wardrobe change as well. And I think Pierce just wears the same suit every week anyway.
He might, yeah.
It all works out. It all works out.
But what I am looking forward to next week is Seth Rollins and Cesaro again.
See, now you're actually looking forward to that, because that was one of those things where I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn it.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay, okay.
That was a joke. I said, really. It's like only the 8th time I've seen it. So
yeah.
So does anybody have any doubt about who's going to win that match? You
No.
remember just 6 weeks ago, we were talking about now, this is Cesaro's time.
Yeah, for the longest time, I felt like Cesaro was his way of getting back into the picture was finally getting rid of Rollins and then winning Money in the Bank and then maybe cashing it on Roman, or even Bobby, who knows? But that was my feeling weeks ago, but I've kind of shifted now, and I almost feel like Big E's going to win and maybe even cash that night after Bobby beats Kofi.
See, I don't think Big E would, and I talked about this on the Inside Cradle, which is another one of our properties here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Comes out every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. This is something we talked about, and it was John Alba's idea originally that I saw on Twitter, and I liked it a lot, where Lashley beats Kofi at Money in the Bank and does what he did to Xavier Woods, where he just continues beating him down after the match, and then E, who has already won the Money in the Bank briefcase at that point, he comes down and makes the save, but he doesn't try to do the cash in because Big E is that big baby face and he's not that opportunity. He's a guy who wants to grind and earn his opportunities and earn his championships. So he just flat out challenges Bobby to a match at SummerSlam and then beats him at SummerSlam in a one-on-one match. That would put Big E over more and make him more than anything. That's the idea that I would run with. And it's what John Alba said on Twitter first, and I like that one a lot. Yeah,
that's a good idea. It definitely fits. But if that true rocket for Cesaro is trending upwards, it definitely will start at Money in the Bank and beating Rollins. It makes no sense to really put Rollins in that match. We're gonna get Rollins and Edge probably at SummerSlam anyways. Which is going to be just a show-stealing match. And so I really think it's down to probably Cesaro or Big E winning that thing.
Where does Reigns is going with who, do you think? Is that the import? Is that Cena?
I wonder if would you think Reigns drops the title, because Reigns Cena doesn't really need to be for the title. Do you think Edge takes it from him, and then we get Edge Rollins for the title, and Cena Roman is on the? I
don't think so. I think Rollins is. Reigns is locked in with that title.
Yeah.
Till at least SummerSlam.
I don't think he's dropping it until Mania next year at the earliest. I really don't. I think he's going to have it for a while. He's got the rocket ship strapped to his back. Why upset the apple cart? Why ruin a good thing? I mean, he's absolutely crushing it right now. Granted, he wasn't on the show tonight, and he was missed. And we'll get to that a little bit. I know some people are.
Yes, but he was missed. He was missed, but in the back of your head, because they'd already covered it. Edge covered it. It was a trap, and he was wise to it. So you always, you got to expect him coming in, but he never came, which I kind of liked. So he knew he was being set up, and he was aware of that.
I thought Jay was going to return and join his brother and beat down Edge was what was my expectation for tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what they're doing with Jey Uso and keeping him off of TV, and it's I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just requested some time off because the guy did help carry SmackDown for.
But he just came back.
No, Jey Uso, not Jimmy. Jimmy's the one who just came back.
Okay.
So
Jay was the one. I had him figured out last week. now I mixed certain names. Now the one that just come back, that's Jimmy.
Yeah. That is Jimmy. Yes.
Okay.
So he was the one who got his ass handed to him at the end of the night tonight, which is something that we will get into here coming up in a little bit. Again, guys, we appreciate you joining us here on Smack Talk. We're here every Friday night at 10:05 to break down everything we saw on Friday Night SmackDown. Again, the big news tonight, Zelina Vega is back. She is in the Money in the Bank briefcase, Money in the Bank ladder match, going for that briefcase. Liv Morgan, even though she's won 3 matches in a row, still is not in. I think that's a big storyline. It doesn't look like it on the surface, but they're building up Liv Morgan here. And that's something else that they're doing subtly. All of a sudden, you see them doing new things with Nakamura. You see them doing new things with Baron Corbin. You see them doing new things with Liv Morgan and Otis, especially. They're starting to build up some new people all of a sudden. Otis, that's a guy who they shave off the beard. They take away everything that made him a person, that made him a lovable personality guy. He talks normal now. They stripped away all of his personality, and now he's just Mark Henry coming down to the ring. Somebody don't get their ass whooped.
Yeah.
And he decimated Angelo Dawkins tonight. And all of a sudden, when Otis won Money in the Bank last year, there was not a second that I believed that he was going to cash in and win that WWE or Universal Championship.
No.
If Otis won the Money in the Bank this year, I would believe in that guy. And that's what they've done in a very short amount of time, is they had took somebody who was basically a comedy character and they have made him a dominant heel, Dutch. That's a remarkable turnaround.
Well, I do like the way that, and now we complain, we bitch and moan about the same guys over and over, and they run it in the. But with Otis, they haven't really. They've shown him with different guys, but he is a, he's a big, huge guy.
Yes,
and
he is.
And he's getting over. That little Gable kid with him is a perfect attachment, and Dawkins. When he came out there, you think, well, what are they going to do here? And he beat him right in the middle.
Yep.
And that was good. Now you got to take Otis seriously.
Yeah.
Because now we know he's not a BS type guy, that he'll go out there and he'll stomp on you a while. And I think people gravitate to that and they resonate to that. You like that word?
Yes,
Like
I do.
Resonate. I read that right before we came. I read that right before we came on the air tonight.
That's a good AP high school
that
word.
I'm going to use it tonight.
There you go.
But I do like what they're doing with Otis and little Chad Gable. I think it's one of their better stories.
I would love it.
And they can go anywhere they want to go with it.
Yeah, I would love it if they could find a way to put the Intercontinental Championship on Otis, to be completely honest with you. But to do that, I think you got to take it off of Apollo. So it's like, who do you have take it off of Apollo? I think Cesaro would be a good call. Maybe Nakamura, it could be the guy who would do that. You could still slow burn Otis at a point, but at some point you got to put some gold on that man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just this whole program with the Street Profits has really elevated him, booked him like a monster. The backstage beatdowns, the ring, winning clean against Angelo today. Love that Vader bomb he uses too, by the way. And so they've really booked Otis really well the past month.
And I think they wrote off Angelo Dawkins tonight too, because we saw Montez Ford had some surgery, so he's going to be out for a little bit. Hopefully he gets back soon. So they definitely wrote off Dawkins for a while tonight.
Yeah,
that's okay. He can get some rest too.
Yeah, give him. I mean, they've been working. They've been working hard. The Street Profits have been working nonstop since they've been called up to the main roster. So,
and when they come back in front of a live audience, they'll get a nice pop.
Oh yeah, and so that's a well-deserved break for him right now.
Paul is asking, Dutch, any truth to the rumors that you are going to be winning Money in the Bank this year?
Well, listen, keep that quiet because the WWF, they watch this show. They're very sensitive. They're very sensitive on what we say.
They don't want leaks.
Now it's a rumor, unconfirmed, and I'm not. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I think that's a rumor that was just started this moment. Paul also bringing up no dirty dogs tonight, and I think the whole tag team division is kind of on a break right now because Roman destroyed the Mysterios. So your champions are kind of out of it right now. Dirty dogs are getting a break. Dawkins and Ford, they're getting a break because, well, Ford's out. Who's another? They're using Otis as a single star right now. I mean, the whole tag team division's kind of on a break right now.
Yeah, just kind of making him as a coach. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I don't think they're going to, it'd be kind of weird to start a tag team feud in 2 weeks. So, but WWE's done it before. So
have they ever taken an entire division off of a show? Have they ever done that before? The entire SmackDown tag team division is MIA.
Yeah. We've got nothing for you.
I think they did it in my history of WWE. I think they did it in 1971. They did it. I know that goes back years ago, but I think they did it in 1971. Where did they used to do TV in New York every week? What was the name of that town? Where the Samoans are from? Allentown.
Oh.
They did it there, and all the tag team division was out. You can look it up if you want to. Things that I just made up about wrestling. So,
Doug says, do you think singles gold for Otis, or can Otis and Gable win the tag team belts from the Mysterios? I think they could, but I think the direction to go is putting singles gold on Otis. I think that would help elevate him and him get taken even more seriously and make him a threat. Because I thought they put the money in the bank on him way too soon. Now, it had a chance to work because he was over with the audience. But the problem was you take away the audience from him, and he's just a big guy who shakes his hips, and it really didn't work, and he lost all of his momentum, and he lost everything.
Yeah, I wondered what the long term, if there was even one, when they said, "Hey, let's put it on Otis." I wonder what the thought, the plan was, if they even had one.
Jeremy. You just said long-term plan and WWE. That is oil and water, my man. Those things don't mix.
Sometimes with the briefcase, they have long-term plans, but
they do have long-term plans for like the champion, maybe the tag team champions. But other than that, there's no long-term plans. It's almost make it up as you go. I call it Memphis rules. You should book it every week, and sometimes I think WWE is booked the same way, but it can't be because they got to project 3 months out, whereas Memphis just had to project 7 days. So I don't think they really have long-term plans. And even those, it's like anything else. It's like coaching football. If you got a quarterback and you got all these plans for him and he gets hurt, then what are you going to do? All your plans, then you got to make them up. And that's the way it works in pro wrestling.
Nathan Joseph, who could possibly defeat Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship? And we're going to hop in, go back to the beginning of the show as we kind of have hopped around here a little bit. I think Edge is a very viable candidate. I'm not saying Edge couldn't beat Roman Reigns. I think that's a guy who could come in. I mean, look, we're talking about Edge here. We're talking about a WWE Hall of Famer, an 11-time world champion, a guy who's in the best shape of his life. He's jacked out of his mind. I mean, he is a very credible threat to Roman Reigns. I just don't see them putting Edge over Roman. I don't think John Cena is the guy who's going to come in and beat him. John Cena is being brought in to lose. I think if they do The Rock, he's being brought in to lose as well. I honestly don't know who is beating Roman Reigns for that Universal Championship. Honestly, it might be a guy like Drew McIntyre who could win the Money in the Bank briefcase. He can't challenge Bobby Lashley right now. So maybe that's the loophole. Maybe that's how they set up Drew and Roman.
Where do you think Brock Lesnar is in all this?
That's a guy that's a guy that they would bring in off the street immediately and have him beat Roman. I think that's.
Well, it may be leading up to that. What is Brock doing now? Sitting at home?
Yeah. Out in the middle of his farm, whatever he's doing, counting his money, chilling on the couch, whatever it is Brock Lesnar does in his spare time, watching hockey. I don't know.
You know, it's very interesting to see what maybe Vince thinks of Karrion Kross if he just completely shoots him straight to the top. He basically took. Well, I mean, they put it well after NXT Takeover. Kross basically took down the Mount Rushmore of NXT. Those were the takeover guys, and he basically took them all out. And so he probably will walk out as champion and could walk right into another championship situation.
Yeah,
Tell me about this Kross guy. I haven't seen him work.
Kross is a guy who came over from Impact, right? That was the last place that he was in.
Yeah, he was Killer Kross in Impact.
Yeah, he comes over and he is given all the pomp and circumstance, all the lights, the phaser shows, the Scarlett accompanying him down to the ring, the big entrance and everything like that. And this is just a dude who murders people.
Yeah,
like his third match on the show was against Tommaso Ciampa, which, by the way, again, I'll be talking. You can see my interview with him Monday and Tuesday on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Cheap plug, cheap pop. But third match, he faces Tommaso Ciampa. He destroyed him. It's like 6 minutes. Like
on a takeover,
his whole gimmick, basically, when he first started off there, was he was the Grim Reaper. He would beat somebody, and they would disappear. He beats Damian Priest. Damian Priest shows up on Raw. He beats Keith Lee for the NXT Championship in like his 10th match. Keith Lee shows up on Raw. He is literally decimated. The only match he's lost is a tag team match, and he wasn't pinned in that situation. And it wasn't even a clean finish. He's a guy, I think, who gets a lot of unnecessary heat, but he is billed as just a straight monster. He just destroys people, and I like him a lot. He's got a mean streak to him.
Tell me this: how much experience does he have? And he couldn't have got a lot of experience in the last year and a half because nobody was getting experience.
He's been around for a while now.
He started late. He started training in his late 20s. He's 35 right now, so I think he's been going.
He made his debut in 2010.
Yeah. So
guess who he was trained by?
Who?
Disco Inferno.
Well,
Glenn Gilberti.
That's okay.
He turned out a lot better than Disco did, though.
Those are two conflicting styles, aren't
they? Right.
One guy shakes hips, the other guy kicks ass. That's two completely different styles right there.
My concern with Mr. Cross is this used to be a thing I used to use in wrestling. You will succeed to the point of failure. And that means, you rise to your level of incompetence and you take him right where he is. He's got to have guys to lead him. And sometimes when he goes up, some of those top guys can't lead at all. They have been led. Mm-hmm. Like Sting was led all his career. Like Luger was led and this is years ago. And they were led like guys like Flair and Arn Anderson and the guys who knew what they were doing. But you put Cross in a position, I think if you go too fast with him, you put him in a position to fail more than get over. Because he'd have to come up with his own stuff, and he needs help.
Yeah,
and I may be totally wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
He seems destined for the main roster because, as Jeremy said, he's already beaten everybody. Yeah. He's decimated everybody. He is one of these guys who works dark matches with Bronson Reed. They've already taken the North American Championship off of Bronson Reed. Karrion Kross is doing a program with Johnny Gargano right now. I don't see Gargano beating him. I think Karrion Kross just decimates him and just leaves the title laying in the ring and then goes up to wherever it is that he's going to go.
Yeah, because Bronson Reed was feuding with Santos Escobar, who wanted another shot, even though he's lost a couple of title matches. It didn't make any sense to me. And they quickly scrapped that and put Swerve in there and had him win the title just out of the blue. So I think the writing's definitely on the wall there's one half of the two guys that have been doing dark matches lately. So I think the writing's on the wall for Kross as well.
I think that's the old line, plans change, pal.
Yep.
They put these titles on these boys, and Vince is like, oh, hey, I want them. Let's bring them over to Raw. They did the same thing with Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Keith Lee
was a double champ.
He went from North American and NXT double champion to I'm on Raw and beating Randy Orton in a month.
Yeah.
But he wasn't ready, was he, Keith Lee?
No, I think he was. I just don't think he was booked correctly.
Yeah. I don't think he's Vince's prototypical star, even though he can do anything he can do basically anything in the ring. But I think it was just not exactly the guy that he's looking for, even though he is a guy that he should be looking for.
I think
plans change.
Yep, I think Keith Lee would still be the United States champion right now if he didn't get hurt before the triple threat match when they took it off of Lashley, and then whatever his issue is that has kept him off of TV since. If that didn't happen, I still think he would be the United States champion right now, and we'd be talking about, well, let's see him and Lashley fight for the WWE championship. I think that's where we would be, but things happen. All right, let's get back to SmackDown, the show we're supposed to be talking about. Edge opens up the show tonight, comes down, kind of complains about all the circumstances that led to him losing at WrestleMania, but then says he's not going to make excuses. He's not going to complain about it. Says he wants his one-on-one opportunity because he knows, and not only does he know, but Roman knows. If it's one-on-one, Roman can't beat him. And then Edge, probably with the best use of the Titantron I have ever seen in my life. They got the chair bar across Roman's face. He's like looking in those eyes, and you can see Roman like the, oh my God, I'm effed look just in Roman, just selling it perfectly. And then they pan up to Edge's eyes, and he's got those psycho killers. And I couldn't help but just laugh my ass off when I looked at Edge's eyes. That told the story right there. That was the best use. That's better than saying, hey, roll the footage.
Yeah.
No, let me enhance this for you and show you what I'm talking about. That was the best use of the Titantron I've seen in a long time.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Because you could see exactly what he was talking about. One guy's in fear, another guy's insane.
Yes. Now, I also think Edge is delusional because he thinks that he can beat Roman and this, that, and the other thing, but it's like nobody's really buying what you're selling, dude.
You never know. I would not be surprised if he does end that reign, so to speak, just because of what I had laid out earlier, where him and Cena don't really need to be for the title, because we all know Cena is not going to win the title because he's just like The Rock, too busy of a schedule. He's going to be in and out basically.
Well,
So
if it's not for the title, why have the match?
just a battle of the best against one of the generation's best, I guess. It's a marquee SummerSlam matchup.
It is a marquee thing, but I like the idea. You got to keep Roman undefeated and smoking hot.
Mm-hmm.
So you can bring in Cena, like Super Cena. Here comes John Cena to save the day, to save the WWE universe from Thanos, basically, who is taking over SmackDown, who nobody can beat him, not even Edge, not Daniel Bryan, not Cesaro, not any of these dudes, not Kevin Owens, who had 19 shots at it. Didn't matter if Jey Uso helped him out. Nobody could beat Roman Reigns. So here comes John Cena. Hey, son, this ain't your corral. It's still mine. I'm still the sheriff in here. I just let you think you're the sheriff in town now. And these two fight each other. And then John Cena gets his ass whooped because it just helps put Roman over more.
Rick.
Yes.
Why are you sitting there working for a radio station when you should be in WWF helping them write this crap? Why don't you just send them your resume and say, hey, all they can do, what's the worst thing they can say? This is what I tell everybody that wants to go to WWE. I said, why don't you ask them? All they can say, the worst thing they can say is no.
Correct.
And I said, and you take that no and make it the start of a negotiation. Keep calling them. Keep talking to them. And if they say, that's what I did the first time there, they give me no about 50 times. And I kept calling them. They said, finally, come in, please. We're getting tired of talking to you on the phone. Come on in.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, we know they have a writer position open now. We know that that's for sure.
Put your resume on LinkedIn and send it to them. Send them a resume.
I may have to do that.
Rick, what's the worst thing they can say?
No. The worst thing I can say is no. And trust me, I'm used to rejection. It has happened quite often in my life. So yeah, I'm good with that. In fact, when somebody says yes, that's when I'm stunned.
Completely. What? What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Yes. What? It's like that scene in Tommy Boy when he makes his first sale, where he starts going, well, what? Anywho, so Edge makes several appearances throughout the night, as does Jimmy Uso, who wants to prove that he is the guy. He is main event Jimmy Uso. He says, hey, look, I'm going to prove myself to Roman. When Roman gets here, we're going to team up on Edge. We're going to take his ass out. Going to plant the flag in his heart. That's what we're going to do. Roman never showed up tonight, and Jimmy Uso ended up getting his ass whooped in the main event segment tonight, which was hilarious. And good on him for recreating those Roman eyes, because that was perfect.
Edge had a good line. He said, the trap's not for me.
Yeah.
It's for you.
Yeah. That was
when
good.
You make a man, his next line should have been, or later on, he can say, when you have a man who doubts himself, you got him.
I wonder if Roman's feelings got hurt from seeing that still photo on the Tron. So he just went home.
I think it's just Roman's MO. He shows up whenever the hell he wants, and he didn't feel like showing up tonight.
Yeah.
I
wonder if this beatdown brings Jay back next week now. I thought he was going to come back and gang up on Edge since Edge had the upper hand last week. Maybe this beatdown now brings Jay back finally after he's been AWOL for a few weeks.
So last week, Edge showed up and got the best of Roman, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Roman misses this week.
Yep.
So next week, he's going to show up. What do you think is going to happen?
I would think you book Edge and Jimmy Uso in a match.
Yep.
That's your main event. Edge beats the crap out of him, beats him clean, and Roman attacks him from behind after the match is over and lays his ass out with Jimmy's help. We kind of saw that, didn't we? Didn't do that with Edge and Jimmy?
Yeah.
Ahead of WrestleMania, or Edge and Jay, ahead of WrestleMania. I think you do pretty much similar. It's not like WWE isn't prone to put stuff we've already seen on television.
What? Yeah, just look at next week's qualifiers for Money in the Bank.
I don't want to.
I wouldn't leave Edge laying. I'd actually have Edge, do the match like you said, and then have a little afterbirth and have Edge send Roman flying out of the ring. Now he's left standing tall. He's the challenger. So what's going to happen? Now you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. They got to do they have to do a lot to make people believe that Edge can win this matchup because, I mean, I know I consider Edge a viable threat, but there is not an ounce of fiber in my being that thinks Edge is going to win at Money in the Bank. They're not taking the Universal Championship off of Roman Reigns right when fans come back. You really do you? Or are you screwing with me?
No,
again?
I think this is what I actually believe. I think he has a reasonable chance. I'm not saying he's going to do it.
Sure.
But I'm not looking at it like, no, this is what they're doing, this, that, and the other. If I look at it like a fan, I'm in doubt of what's going to happen. And that's why you get fans tuning in to see it. If you know what's going to happen, why even watch it? But you know they're going to do something because they got 2 weeks to think about this.
Yep.
Edge has 2 weeks to think about it. Roman Reigns and Heyman have 2 weeks to think about it. Bruce Pritchard has 2 weeks to think about it. So you're going to bring all those ideas together and they're going to come up with something good.
By the way, you mentioned the 2 weeks out for Money in the Bank. Guys, we're going to be celebrating next Friday because next Friday is the last SmackDown in the Thunderdome era. Holy crap. I can't wait. Like, I cannot wait. All I ask is you leave the what chance at home. But
oh God, we know that ain't gonna. We already know that's not happening.
They're doing him in AEW for crying out loud, guys. Don't be that. Don't give me the what chance. Don't give me the CM Punk chance. Be better. Just be better. It's the first night back. Don't make me miss the Thunderdome on the first night back on July 16th when we're doing this show. And I don't want the first thing out of my mouth to be, I missed the Thunderdome. Like, I don't want that to be the case.
We brought up a point on the podcast this week. We're like, what happens to the Thunderdome? Does like the Fiend come back and just torch it all? You know, are they going to blow it up? You know, or are they going to do something extravagantly crazy with it on their last show?
The one thing that I always thought that they should do is bring back Brock Lesnar and just have him destroy the damn thing.
give him a hammer.
You can have, what's the guitar player's name? Boogs. I'd have him turn it in and have him repossess it. Just pulling it off the lot. It's gone.
Get the get the Repo Man back.
That is the perfect segue into what was actually our first match of the night that started at 8:25. So 25 minutes in, we got our first match of the night, and it was Nakamura and Big E versus Corbin and Apollo Crews.
Matchups galore that we've never seen before, right?
Well, this is technically a fresh matchup, but it's not.
Fresh.
We've never seen these guys like tag with one another, but this is
fresh.
This is two feuds that have been run into the ground.
What was the purpose of the interview when he said he'd lost all that money?
They are turning him into sad sack Corbin.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're going to make him into a sympathetic babyface, and then he's going to have this major comeback as a babyface. And so they're setting the seeds right now where he's going to get as low as he can possibly get from week to week and get sympathy. And then eventually there's going to be something big that happens that makes him a babyface, that makes the WWE universe actually cheer him for once. I think they're actually kind of building to that, in my opinion.
Well, they are building to that. We need to beat him to the punch. Since he lost all his money, we should put up a GoFundMe page for him. And all these people contribute all this money so we can present it to him. Except we'll never present it to him. We'll just disappear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let's hook him up with Cameron Grimes, and they can go to the moon.
That'd be a good idea.
Just bring in LA Knight with a cameo with $1 million belt and just have him like spit in his face or something like that.
But the first interview tonight, I didn't feel sorry for him. He's moping and
here's the thing, like I think there'll be some people who feel sorry for him because they're just gonna keep, kicking dirt in his face. But people hate this guy. Yeah. People love to hate this guy. It is gonna be real damn hard for people to be like, oh damn, man, I feel bad for Baron Corbin. There's not a lot of people who are gonna say that sincerely.
There's not been a singular moment his time in the main roster that he's been cheered. He was great. His gimmick was great in NXT, and that got over. And that was kind of a tweener thing too. He wasn't necessarily a babyface, but he was a flat out heel, and he's never been a babyface on the main roster.
The only time I can remember anybody cheering for him is when he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah.
That was the only time people popped for him winning that. And I think that had a lot. I don't even remember who the last guy he eliminated, but I think it had more to do with the guy who he eliminated than it actually was him. So maybe that's the key. If you can find somebody.
That's what we were talking about. They have no heels.
Yeah, if you can find something that the crowd hates more than Baron Corbin, that's the guy you pair him up with.
Well, hell, they sure made Rick Boogs look like a bully there. Or that was not babyface stuff. Even though maybe they're just rubbing it into the heel, but that was kind of cold. Greg Hamilton calling him King Corbin. Come on,
stopping and going, oh wait, Baron Corbin, and then his car got towed. So look, I'm not one for distraction finishes, but that made me laugh.
That was funny.
Genuinely made me laugh.
Repo Man struck again.
That was funny.
Now, man. So, by the way, Paul brings up a good point. I think it's very fitting that I gave Sid 5 matches. Finally, I gave Sid the 5 great King Corbin matches for him to check out. Yeah. And he shot me down on all of them with not much explanation, and now he's not here. So I did my homework, and now he's not here to grade me on it. I find that very, very, very convenient. But yeah, I didn't feel sorry for anything that happened to King Corbin tonight. I mean, I kind of did because I'm actually one of the few people that like King Corbin.
I do too.
You got to give him credit, though. He sold the hell out of that sad puppy dog look. Like he looked like EC3 chasing the 24/7 title. That's what he looked like tonight.
This is the most interested I've been in him in a long time because the King gimmick was getting stale. Everything they did with the King, they kind of got rid of. I think a lot of that had to do with the pandemic. But this is the most interested I've been in a story arc with Corbin in some time now, because just I want to I want to see where this goes now that he's shed that King gimmick and and
the next thing we hear, if you really want to feel sorry for him, have them give him his release. And then he's released, and about 2 weeks later, since he repossessed all of his stuff, because he must have been going downhill for a while, let's go out on the street where the homeless people are, and we find him, and he's sitting there on Skid Row, and somebody says, hey, didn't you used to be King Corbin? And he goes, oh, yeah. And somehow that gets back, and you could have a sponsor. Somebody could go get him up and get him back. Almost do a who's the guy that does Diamond Dallas Page?
Yeah,
have Diamond Dallas Page or somebody like him, like
why not Dutch Mantell?
There you go.
I can't do that because
he doesn't work for free.
I don't work for free, and they wouldn't want to pay me nothing, and they'd probably make me take down my GoFundMe page too. So. But anyway,
I think it'd be a bad look.
If this is the most interested in Baron Corbin you've been, they haven't done much with him. I mean, they've tried to, but
they haven't done a damn thing with him since he won the crown.
Yeah, they stretched that crown gimmick out way too long. I think that it would be a bad look on the WWE since they've just released a lot of people. So I don't think they should mock release somebody because I think that will set off a complete firestorm.
It would, but you know what? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Wait a minute.
True.
Didn't they mock release Spud, Drake, whatever his name
was? No, they actually fired him.
They actually released him, and they said, hey, look, you're in the NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament. We're going to let you finish out those dates while you're on your 90-day non-compete. And the audience got behind him so much that they rehired him on NXT.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now they fired his tag partner.
Yeah.
So where is he now?
He's still in NXT.
He was tagging with Killian Dane until Dane got released last week.
Okay. Yeah, they have released a lot of people.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing with Corbin, at least it's a story.
Yeah.
That really the fans can relate to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People feeling sorry for a guy coming out of a pandemic might be a hard stretch.
I like
I be having a hard time too.
If they have a good plan for a redemption story, this is really going to make him into a huge babyface for the first time in his career. So I'm excited, hopeful that they have a plan that they can stretch this out and tell a good story. So far, so good in my opinion. Hopefully they continue to build on this and turn it around and turn him into a babyface somehow. I don't know where this Happy Corbin trademark is going to go with that, but that sounds a little weird. But the redemption story could be a good one to tell.
The only thing that I really didn't like tonight was that interaction with Boogs, because Boogs is a baby face.
That
Boogs
was a
is
heel thing.
And it was a heel thing. But the line that Corbin came back with and said, oh, so this is what you do? Will you kick a guy when he's down? Screw all of you guys. I'm like, Corbin, that has literally been your gimmick for 5 years, is kicking people while they're down.
Yeah.
And now that it's happening to you, you don't look... I'm not going to give you sympathy for that. I'm going to flip you the middle finger when you say something like that, because it's not good. You're getting your comeuppance.
Yeah.
Not sympathy. You're getting what you deserve. That's what I feel when I see the King Corbin character or the Baron Corbin character going through all this.
I think they could have done without that segment. I think it would have been a lot better if they just did not do that segment tonight with Boogs.
I agree. It didn't really help either one of them. Dave.
No, it made Corbin look like a baby face, and it made Boogs look like a heel.
It made Boogs look like a total jackass. Is what it was. The jokes weren't even funny. They weren't even funny. If you're gonna do something like that, they gotta hit. They gotta hit.
That's heat in and of itself. To tell a joke and it's not funny. You're the only one who finds it funny. So I don't know.
Steven says move Corbin to Raw. Dude, I think it's very simple. I would take him off. I would have taken him off TV, moved him over to Raw, and just treat him like a badass heel that he is. I think they got a tall hill to climb if they're trying to get people to like Baron Corbin, because nobody, as Jeremy said, nobody's like Baron Corbin in the history of Baron Corbin being in WWE.
It could go one of two ways. It could go he's got this great redemption story that makes him a babyface, or he goes back to the lone wolf. Maybe he goes back to that gimmick that he had in NXT.
He could get destroyed by the Fiend, and then he goes right back to being the lone wolf. That's how that would work. We got two other things to talk about before we get to story time with Dutch, and they're two really, really big things. We saw a face-to-face between Bayley and Bianca, and man, I know a lot of people want to see these two move on to do other things, and I was one of them. Them after Hell in a Cell continuing doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a storyline standpoint, and what we saw last week was them just literally rehashing the same stuff over and over and over again. This week, they made a concerted effort to make this make sense. And, they didn't just give Bianca the stereotypical babyface, you're a bully BS to say tonight. They actually gave her some legit things with some depth there to say. And you know what? During this exchange tonight, Bianca came off more like the heel than Bayley did. They had Bayley sitting there saying, we're returning to the road. We're going to see all you shining fans and this, that, and the other thing. And then Bianca comes out here and says, look, bitch, I'm going to make you quick. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to enjoy every moment of this so you finally get the hell out of my damn face. Am I wrong here? I totally felt double turn vibes here a little bit.
Yeah, I did too, because like I told you on Twitter, you didn't like the idea, but Bayley said the words "I quit," and then Bianca, to end that segment, said, "I love hearing you say I quit." And I just wonder if that double turn's coming, and they just play Bayley doesn't say "I quit," they play a recording of her saying "I quit" from tonight instead. I kind of wonder. It struck me as weird the way Bianca said that to end that segment.
Okay, who's the other heel females in WWE?
On SmackDown?
None.
Sasha, but she's not there. Zelina now. Zelina now that she's back.
Now,
I don't think they qualify Natty and Tamina as heels right now. So it's Bayley and it's Sasha and now Zelina. So they got three on SmackDown.
So, but we didn't see a return of Bianca and Sasha from WrestleMania, right?
No, I think that's the match at SummerSlam.
Okay. So
I think they are stretching this program with Bayley until they get to Sasha and Bianca too at SummerSlam. I think that's what they're doing. I do think this would be the wrong time to do a double flip. I get where they would come from, because I think Bianca would be a tremendous heel, and I think people want to cheer Bayley just because of the great work that she's been doing for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But
that line, the way she said it, just stuck with me. I love hearing you say
Bayley,
I quit.
But the way Bayley said the words "I quit" isn't exactly like it was with Foley.
Right.
Foley said it with vibrato. Like it was like, I quit. Like he was screaming it. So, it was recognizable and it made sense in that moment. I don't think you could recreate that finish, to be completely honest with you. So it's going to be interesting to see how this matchup goes. for them stretching things out, you could do a lot worse than giving me Bianca and Bayley in an I Quit match. And I think an I Quit match is one of those things where, yeah, okay, it's at least on the same level or could at least get a little bit more brutal than Hell in a Cell. Because it's like, where do you go from Hell in a Cell if that's not your closeout?
Yeah, and you don't
an I Quit match.
You don't see too many women I Quit matches, you know, and I don't know if we've ever seen one in WWE. Yeah.
It's been 13 years.
I've seen a few women's I Quit matches in some bars. But it wasn't billed as that, but it turned into that. Yeah. I've never even heard of a woman's I Quit match.
I don't know. I don't remember one ever either.
I was thinking if Charlotte and Sasha had one, but they did. It was I don't think they did, because Michael Cole said it was like 13 years since it was going to be an I Quit match for a women's championship. So, I mean, you think of all the blood feuds that we've had, Becky and Charlotte, and Sasha. This is the one that gets the I Quit match. I don't know if that, but again, when you do Hell in a Cell and that's not the end, there's only so many places you can go.
I think Charlotte and Sasha did a last woman standing match.
Yes, that's what it was. That's typically the feud ender, is the last woman standing matches. This one's going to be I Quit. WWE did this to themselves. They booked themselves into a corner. Not even booked them. They slashed.
They fired people into a corner.
They fired people into a corner. They didn't have anybody else. I had people on Twitter saying, look, they could have brought up people from NXT. Okay, would that be as, is that the match you want to put on in front of fans? Is, okay, here's this new person that the casual fan does not know in front of a live crowd fighting for the SmackDown Women's Championship? No, you do it with Bayley, you do it with Bianca. You could do a whole lot worse. I think they trimmed the roster down too much. If you had somebody like Mickie James who was on the roster, that would make sense to go up against Bianca at Money in the Bank. But I think it's the right move to continue this. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but you could have done worse than an I Quit match. And I thought the promos were very well delivered tonight.
Yeah, we got Sid coming in here. Sid popping in on the rehearsal there. He gives us the information. Beth and Melina, which was the I Quit match there.
I still think
what's up, Sid?
I still think that he did not want to come on the show tonight to face me after I gave him those 5 Baron Corbin matches to check out. He didn't want to do it. He's a coward, and I guarantee you he won't pop into this feed right now. He won't do it. I'm challenging him to show up.
See, I just want to tell you something. Rick talked about you so badly, I even felt sorry for you. And I even said, you need to get off of him a little bit.
He's getting that Corbin. He's getting that Corbin sympathy from Dutch now.
Oh yeah. I see who's the heel here now.
Right.
We do have. Well, we brought up last woman standing matches. We got one last thing to talk about, and it was by far the match of the night, hands down.
Yep.
We talk about, we see the same stuff over and over and over again, the same people working with the same people over and over again, and we're getting 2 rematches next week in Corbin and Nakamura again, Money in the Bank qualifier, Seth Rollins and Cesaro again in a Money in the Bank qualifier. I could watch Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens wrestle every day of the week because it's always different. It's always different. It's always fresh. They find a way to tell a great story, and tonight was absolutely no different. Kevin Owens took a ton of incredibly stiff bumps and just kept coming. I think the wrong guy won the match, but it was absolutely fantastic tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. KO usually gets the upper hand in the big matches. That would have been kind of cool to see Sammy, especially with who's in that Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, KO is going to be tremendous in it. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing to take away from KO. It's just sometimes it seems like he always kind of gets the upper hand when the big stakes are on the line. But man, some of the very inventive.
They took some bumps, and it wasn't a 5-minute match. It was like a 12-minute match.
3 segments.
And it was. It was very good. And those guys worked their butts off. And when they took a big bump, they sold it.
Yeah.
They didn't hop right back up and come back. I mean, they came back after a little bit of time, but nothing's worse than see somebody take a hell of a bump and then hop right up.
I always love a well-timed roll out of the ring to get on your feet on a last man standing match. I always love when you cleverly do something like that. I thought it was over when Zayn hit those 3 haluva kicks, then I knew as soon as as soon as KO rolled out and got on his feet at 9, then I knew KO was going to win right there, because that was basically Sammy's shot.
That's when he rolled out and had the ring stand him up.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
move.
And it was a great move. It was a great finish. And then, KO just going ruthless. Power bomb through the announcer's table, power bomb through the table, and then a power bomb on the apron.
Just like his NXT debut.
Exactly. All back to the NXT stuff. These guys have a ton of history. The fans, the hardcore fans, know the history between these two guys, and they always bring it out. I loved Sammy when he got him in the corner before he delivered that third haluva kick, and he is just saying, this is cosmic justice. This is karma coming back for all the shit you've done to me over the years. And he hits him with that third haluva kick, stiff as hell. I thought the match was over, and I think it should have ended there.
Yeah.
Even though the ending was great. And
that ending sequence was tremendous. Yeah.
And KO's going to do great in that match. But
what was that move that Zayn was going to do? He was going to dive from the floor. He went running toward the corner and dived in the ring.
Oh, yeah. So what he
buckles.
Yeah, so he hops through the turnbuckle.
I've never seen that done before.
He hops through the turnbuckle and gives a tornado DDT.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It's incredible.
I've never seen that done.
Yeah, Zayn's first match on SmackDown, if memory serves correct, was against John Cena. I'm right against that on that one?
Oof,
I think it was a United States Championship match. He was doing the United States Open challenges. I think Sammy came up for one match, and he immediately had to leave because he had to have double shoulder surgery, which has been the story of his career since he's been on the main roster. But he hit that move on Cena, and the place lost their effing mind.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
That's a tremendous spot on how you can just get through the middle ropes without any kind of screw up is just impressive.
We haven't seen him attempt that in a really, really long time because it's a total babyface move.
Yeah. And it's to get a pop. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that over the last few months that they've actually let Sammy wrestle. I've missed watching Sammy wrestle and not be this chicken shit.
Yeah.
People dodging, ducking, and not doing anything. He's great at it. He's great at whatever you have him do, but I want to watch that man work. Yeah. And he's worked these last few matches with Kevin Owens, and maybe you can turn him babyface here in a couple of weeks. But
that'd be easy.
Oh, yeah. Very easy.
I feel like the seeds have been planted for him to turn babyface for a while now, and I thought maybe he and KO were going to team up at one point and maybe that's going to be the end goal as they team up and they make a run at the tag titles. Whether maybe Otis and Chad have them or whoever, if there's a heel team that has them that takes them off of the Mysterios, you could have a KO Sammy run and the crowd is going to go nuts for it.
Yep.
Absolutely right. Ozzy thinks KO is the right guy. I don't think he is for what you brought up that KO always seems to go over, Jeremy, in the key
against Sammy. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at the makeup of the Money in the Bank ladder matches, who's the heel? You've got Drew, you've got Riddle. Is John Morrison a heel? I guess technically, but people love the fact that he's in the match. You got Ricochet, and now you've got Kevin Owens. You've got nobody to really root against.
Yeah, it's more about the
event of the match.
Yeah, and it's more about giving an opportunity to someone that has not had that opportunity, and that's where I think the big money lies on either Big E or Cesaro to win that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Big E. Obviously a huge baby face. I think Sammy could have.
Big E wins it. You think?
It's either Big E or Cesaro.
He's my favorite right now. I would put.
I'm gonna go with Big E
because
I think they see more in Big E than they see in Cesaro right now.
Yeah,
and as evidenced by his.
That's why I think Rollins is getting that.
And he didn't make it.
I think Rollins is getting in that Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't think Cesaro's winning next week.
And I see, I've said it all along after the pandemic. I've said it ever since they split the New Day. I've said this all along on the podcast that as soon as those crowds get back, they're going to find a way of Big E reuniting with the New Day. And that Money in the Bank briefcase is the perfect way to reunite them, if not waiting for the draft after SummerSlam.
Yeah, because he's not going to be the one that beats Roman. There's no way he's going to be the one that beats Roman. I could see him beating Lashley. And I would love it this fall if there is a moment where Big E is the WWE champion, Kofi's the United States champion, and Xavier's the king of the ring. That'd be perfect. I would cry happy tears if that moment happened. It could be Xavier's coronation.
Stop it, Rick.
I would. I would. And I'm not the only one, sir. I'm not the only one. All right. Story time with Dutch. He said he had a good one for us, sir.
No, I was talking about, you referenced Owens and Zayn. They're going to be sore tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really sore. So can you imagine driving back from the matches after a match like that and getting pulled over by a state trooper? When it happened to me and Undertaker, we were coming back. We had wrestled in Louisville, Kentucky. We were going back to Nashville. It's about 160 miles, not that far. And we were driving down the road. The dome light was on. We had another guy in the car with us. And all of a sudden, we was almost to the Tennessee line, and the lights come on. The Kentucky trooper pulled us over. And I looked at it, and Tucker was driving. And I said, "Are you speeding?" He said, "No." I said, "Why is he putting us over for?" He said, "I don't know." So when he pulled us over, we pulled over on the side, and the spotlight comes on. You know, you don't usually expect a spotlight to be on you. And then on the loudspeaker, he said, "Driver of the vehicle, with your left hand, reach over, take the keys out of the ignition, drop them on the pavement." I never heard that before. So he did. He said, "Driver of the vehicle, exit the vehicle with your back facing this way, and walk backwards with your hands in the air." I went, "What the hell? This is not like a traffic stop usually." I said, what are they looking for?
Is somebody punking you? What the hell?
No. And I look back, and there is Mark walking back, and I look back, and I could see the cop. He was on his knees, and he had a gun.
Oh.
And he was aiming it at Mark. And he says, brought him back, bent him over the car, handcuffed him, and told him to get in the back of the car, stay there. Then he told me to get out. He said, "Passenger in the front seat, exit the vehicle with your hands in the air and walk backwards." And I said something like, "Who, me?" He said, "Yeah, you stupid bastard, you. Who else are we talking to?" I got out, and I saw him. He had the gun. Now other cars were coming. And I could hear him in the distance. Wow, wow, wow. I said, "This is something going on here. I don't know what this is." And they handcuffed me. And they bent me over the hood of the police car. And there's about 4 cops there and more coming. City cops and state patrol and county cops.
Jesus.
They were all there. And I went to tell the guy, I said, "Sir, listen, we're professional wrestlers. We just went." He said, "Shut the F up. We don't give a hell who you are." I said, "Okay." Which gave me my first indication they didn't want to have a little chit chat. So finally, they got the other guy out of the car, and he was a big. I can't remember his name. Action Jackson. You know him? He's a big black guy out of Dallas. He was a friend of Taker's. He weighs about 320. And when he got out of the car, and we all had our caps on backwards, you know, and those little bandanas, and so I heard a guy pull up off. He came up the on-ramp and pulled down below us in the grass, and I heard him chamber around in a shotgun. I said, "There's something definitely wrong now." So they started searching the car, and they tore that car to pieces. Up, down, you know, looked under the seats, got in the back, looked under the, pulled my, even my, my carpet in my trunk. And he looked at the guy and said, "We don't see anything, Captain." He said, "Well, search again." And they searched again. We didn't have nothing in the car. We didn't have a beer. We didn't have any weed. We didn't have any pills. We had nothing. We were clean. And they couldn't believe it. So he come back and he said, "Listen, we heard what they were looking for was a gun." I found out later. They said they had a call from a truck driver or somebody that said we were going down the road, had a gun up in the air, and we were garnishing a gun. Garnishing, that's where I learned that word, at people. And that's why they stopped us. But they couldn't find the gun. And now, if they'd have found a gun or even one joint or one pill or anything like that, we'd have went to jail. But they didn't. We didn't have nothing, and they had to let us go. But getting pulled out on the interstate at gunpoint when you're tired and it's already like 12 o'clock at night isn't my idea of a good time. So they let us go, and they knew who we were. They watched wrestling. They knew who we were back in those days.
I was gonna say, was this the night after like Taker buried somebody alive, and they just thought it was It was still real to them, damn it.
No, Taker was. This is back in Memphis days. This wasn't WWE days. This was back in the territorial days, and they knew who we were. And one of them says, "Hey, Dutch, will you sign this for me?" And it was an autograph. And somebody asked me, "Did you sign it?" I said, "Hell yeah, I signed it. I was glad to sign it. I'd have signed anything to get out of that."
Could have been the greatest rib ever somebody pulled there, getting all the cops.
What we heard later, and I talked to a cop later. I went up next week. We stop at those little, rest stops or convenience stores. And I met a cop, and he knew me. And I said, "Did you hear about us getting stopped?" He said, "Oh, it's big news around here, man. We pulled over 3 wrestlers out on the interstate." I said, "What was that about?" And what it was, somebody had called in and said the gun, that we were aiming a gun, because we had the dome light on. And they said what happened was, what he figured was there was a big, dope delivery going through. So they wanted to deflect attention. So they'd stop us so they could slip through.
Oh.
Which makes sense. They were outthinking me. But it's a good thing we didn't have anything in the car.
Oh,
we had
no kidding.
All I had, I chewed Red Man tobacco. That's all they found was that. So they let us go, shook our hands, and we was on our way.
And that's kind of smart. I'm not going to lie. That's incredibly genius.
Oh, my God.
That is insane.
But we look, what I had.
Did you need a fresh pair of underwear after that?
Well,
probably didn't get a good night's sleep, did you?
It would have helped. No, but when they let me go, now I'm euphoric. Just thinking of where I could have been.
Yeah.
So, and I was telling Takers a day or two later, I said, if they'd have found one beer in that car, they had to take us in. They had expended too much manpower on that one stop to just let us go. So, but I learned. But we knew all the cops anyway, because they were big wrestling fans. Sometimes they'd stop us. We'd be doing 80, 90, and they would tell us, "Guy, you got to slow down," because they were fans. But that night they couldn't because they got a call about us.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a great segue there, guys. It is 4th of July weekend. The troopers are
have
going
a
to be out.
good 4th, everybody.
Yes, have a great 4th. Have a safe 4th of July. Don't drink and drive. There are too many things. There's Uber, everything. So many people die on the roadways, man, when they're during this 4th of July weekend.
Hey, for enough money, I'll come pick you up.
There you go. Just give Dutch
where you are. Give me a plane ticket, and I'll drive out there and rent a car, and I'll come pick you up and take you where.
Send Dutch an email. Dutch, what's your email?
DirtyDutchMantell@gmail.com. I'll be glad to pick you up. We talk wrestling the whole way.
Jeremy, you got a podcast, sir. Where can they find you at?
Yes, sir. We got Lost in the Midcard is a podcast we air every Thursday with fellow Sportskeeda writer Matt Black and myself. You can search for Lost in the Midcard for your podcast, or go to litmcpodcast.com for all the links. We have it on a YouTube video podcast as well, and follow us on the Twitter just the same.
And follow all 3 of us on Twitter. Our handles are right there. And of course, if you just go to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel and you follow us, you subscribe there, you'll see my happy face all over. And again, this coming Monday, you'll see part 1 of my talk with Tommaso Ciampa. Very, very good. Very, very open and honest conversation. You guys are not going to want to miss that. Yes.
One question. Did Sid call back in?
He did not. He chickened out.
So you backing him up. He didn't come back to defend himself.
Nope. He said he hurt himself. He hurt his head, rolling his eyes in the back of his head. I don't think that was him rolling his eyes. I think that's the alcohol. I think that's why his head hurts, to be completely honest. All right, guys, great night. Jeremy, I know yours isn't over. You got someplace to be. Dutch, great story. That's why you want to come back to this show, guys, because you're not going to get stories like that anywhere else. We will be back. Sid, I think, is going to be back next week. Maybe he will defend his Baron Corbin hate, and I want to know if he feels sorry for Baron Corbin, because he loves him so much. We'll be back next week, 10:05, right here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Twitter, Facebook channel. Have a very happy 4th of